ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be? For me, you mean Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football overtime. Bears, Vikings, football. Oh my. That one was rough on the eyes. As a fan, that one set you back about a decade or so. That's as ugly as it gets. And you know what the worst part is? One of those two teams we watched tonight probably going to make the playoffs. Probably going to make the playoffs. Yeah, it's that bad in the NFC. And when you look at it from that perspective, as a fan of a team that you thought would make it to the playoffs this year, and you look at the landscape of the NFC, which is what we said it would be. We talked about this all offseason leading up to the start of the season. Like, the NFC is bad. There's probably three teams. We weren't even counting Detroit at the time. We figured them into the equation of 7, but we didn't look at them as, one of the teams that would separate itself from the rest of the pack. But we said there's probably 5 good teams in the NFC. There's going to be 2 spots available. Just grab one. And watching this nonsense tonight reinforced, and again, that we talked about the Vikings not being all that great, and that was before Justin Jefferson or Kirk Cousins went down. We were talking about them being an average team with those guys in tow because we didn't think they could win 11 out of 11 one-score or less games again this season. We didn't think they could do that again. And clearly they haven't. They're the same team they were last year. They're playing the same exact script. Last year they played 11 close games. They won all 11 of them. This year they've played 11 close games, and they're 5-6 in those games. Instead of them being perfect, which is what we thought they would do. They would come back to earth like the rest of the league in these close ball games. You'd win some, you'd lose some. Never did I think, though, that there would still be this clear delineation between the haves and have-nots to the point where somebody like this, that being the Minnesota Vikings, will probably have to play in a playoff game, and we're going to have to watch that foolishness. Whomever the 2 seed is probably going to rip them a new one in Wild Card Weekend. My guess is it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers as your 2 seed. That's my guess, but we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe they could catch the Eagles. I doubt it. At this point, what the hell did we even watch tonight? And let me also say this. The whole Josh Dobbs thing, can we put that to rest now? Because I knew this was going to happen. He did the same thing in Arizona. The exact same thing. Now, I think he can play in this league. And what he's shown in the last, let's call it a year, because I go all the way back to his first start with the Titans on short notice when they didn't have a quarterback. They pulled Josh Dobbs. I think they, got him from somewhere. I don't even know if he was on the streets or what, where it came from, but they were able to get their hands on Josh Dobbs. He came in after only being there for like 4 or 5 days, and he started on a Thursday night against Dallas last year. And I think that's what jump-started his career, really, because he had already been in the league 3 or 4 years, and he just hadn't played, right? Similar to Taylor Heineke, who, during his stint in Washington, showed everybody, hey, I can at least be a competent backup quarterback in this league. I can play. I think he's shown that. And I think he deserves the right to be in this league. He can be a competent backup. I think he's shown that, and I think teams respect him for what he is. But there was this notion floating around amongst Dodo fans, not real fans, not the ones that have been paying attention, but the Dodo ones. Hey, Josh Dobbs isn't bad. Give him some more time, and he actually could be a really good quarterback. And I'm like, no, he's had plenty of time. We know what he is. Just like Taylor Heineke, there were some Dodo fans out there. Hey, Taylor Heineke's not bad. You know, you give him more time. You know, he hasn't started a lot of games. No. We know what he is already. We don't need more time. We know what he is. We can see his strengths. We can see his weaknesses. We know his faults. We know what he can provide. We know what he can't provide. We know. Same thing with Josh Dobbs. We know. And he did this in Arizona where he came out, guns a-blazing. You're like, hey, this Josh Dobbs kid isn't bad. And I'm like, hey, just wait. And they're like, but he's playing well. He hasn't turned around. I said, just wait. And then what happened at around like week 6 against Cincinnati? The lid, the turnover lid, it popped off and the turnovers exploded, right? Then he couldn't stop turning it over. And then the Cardinals were like, okay, we've seen enough. Hey, we can get something for him? All right, let's get something for him. So they ship him off to Minnesota, and the Vikings are like, hey, we don't have shit. But we do have a rookie, Jaron Hall, that we'd like to see. Boom, he gets a concussion, and he's out of the game after the first possession. And he looked really good. If I were Minnesota, I don't know when this bye is coming. It's got to be coming here shortly, whether it's this week or next. I'd see if Jaron Hall is ready to go. I'd turn back to the young fella and see what he's got. Dobbs has done enough. He's shown what he's capable of. That's cool. Story was cool, but it's over now. Similar to the Raiders situation with Antonio Pierce. That's cool. And I actually think they should still be evaluating Pierce the remaining 5 or 6 games of the season, how many games they have left, and see what he does and how the team responds to him. Because even in the losses, they've been impressive. The Dolphins lost. They were right there. They just didn't have enough. They started out like gangbusters this week against the Chiefs, 14-0. They blew it. But look, they're being competitive, and you like what they're doing. I just want to see how it turns out, right? Don't know how that movie ends, but it was a nice story. But people were overhyping it. And that's what we tend to do. We oversaturate the market with fun stories. And it's almost like, oh, we can't get enough. No, we can get enough. No, we can get enough of Josh Dobbs. We can get enough. We don't need you to keep pushing him in our face, which it feels like. Now, it wasn't by design, obviously, right? He burst onto the scene, has the 2 games, the win over the Falcons, the win the following week against the Saints, and, you know, they just happened to be on national television the next week against Denver, and then again the following week against the Chicago Bears. That, again, the NFL didn't set that up. It just happened that way. But it felt kind of rehearsed, like, this Dobbs story is hot. Let's get him on national television a couple of times. He's shown his true colors the last 2 weeks. He's back to being Joshua Dobbs. What more can I say? He did it in Arizona. He's doing it again. 4 interceptions. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4 interceptions tonight for Dobbs. I don't even know how this game was close. I guess you didn't have to turn your attention to the Bears. The Bears. And you got to look at their situation and say, well, how in the hell was this even remotely competitive? They're the Bears. Need I say more? Missed a field goal. Couldn't get in the end zone. 2 fumbles. Really bad fumbles. Yeah. So they're bad too. But when it was all said and done, the football gods decided that the Vikings didn't play well enough to win this game. And they should not be rewarded with a dub. And I couldn't agree more. Frankly, that was sickening to watch, what they did tonight. And it reminded me of why they started the season 0-3. Couldn't get out of their own way, turnovers galore, losing to teams they have no business losing to. I honestly don't think they belong in the playoffs, personally. But, again, who's going to take their spot in the NFC? Who's going to take their spot? New Orleans is going to take their spot? You're right. But Tampa's going to jump up and take their spot? Yeah. Seriously, stop. Maybe Green Bay will. I don't know. Maybe it's Green Bay. Maybe it'll be somebody in their own division that comes and takes the spot from them. Maybe it'll be the Rams. They're 5-6 too. Maybe it's the Rams. I don't know, but somebody, anybody, please relieve the Vikings of their duties, okay? They clearly don't want to be in the playoffs. Clearly they don't want to be there. So somebody just take the spot off their hands and let them figure out what their offseason is going to be like. Are they going to re-sign Kirk Cousins? What are they going to do? Let them figure out whatever it is they're going to do. Let's not involve them in matters of the postseason, please. And for the Bears, man, Justin Fields doesn't make it easy on you, does he? Like, I want to say he's gotten better, but has he? Has he gotten better? I think he has. I don't understand, and I'm with Aikman. I was screaming this when Washington played the Bears earlier this season. Justin Fields still hasn't shown me the ability to beat the blitz. Still haven't seen it. And until he does, I'm going to blitz the draws off of him, right? When you give him time to stand back there all day long, he tends to find open receivers. That's what he tends to do, right? And generally, they have to be Ohio State wide open for him to hit them, not NFL wide open, Ohio State wide open. Like the one at the end of the game to DJ Moore. That's Ohio State wide open, okay? He's not going to miss that. And so you rush 4, you give him all day, he stands back there, somebody runs wide open into a vacated zone, and he's going to look good. You speed him up, you hurry him, he starts running around like a chicken with his head cut off, running around in circles, almost takes 27-yard sacks right before he manages to throw the football away. I don't understand why you didn't just blitz. And if you look, these coordinators sometimes they baffle me. Because if you're a blitzer, then when it's time for you to blitz, you got to blitz. Like, I know you're trying to play this Jedi mind trick, right? Where you think I'm going to blitz because it's what I do. I blitz the most of any team in the league. So you're thinking I'm going to come after you. I got everybody at the line of scrimmage, but I'm not really coming after you. Well, Fields isn't going to be fazed by that because his guys are going to pick up the 3-man rush. You're dropping 8. Maybe nobody's open, but he's got plenty of time. They only need 15 yards to get into field goal range. So I personally would have come after him. I felt like you got away with it the first 2 downs. 3rd down, I would have come after him just to see what he did. If he gets a completion, cool, you got me. If not, now you're in 4th down and you got to make a decision. You're going to kick the long field goal or you're going to go for it on 4th and 10. You stand back there, you let him have all day, you turn DJ Moore loose into his zone, and you get beat. I thought the Vikings play calling was suspect at the it's almost like they thought they won the game after the last Fields fumble. They kind of went into a shell instead of being aggressive and making sure that they themselves got into field goal range. Like the days of making sure the other team uses their 3 timeouts, or in the case of the Bears, I think they had just spent one on a failed challenge, so they only had 2 left. The days of worrying about if a team has any timeouts left, that shit is over with. Nobody cares about that anymore. In today's NFL, if you want a field goal, if all you need is a field, you'll get a field goal. So miss me with I got to make sure I run the football and make sure they call their timeouts. This ain't 1994. Teams will spread you out. They'll get into field goal range just as fast as you can snap your damn fingers. They should have been aggressive at the end of this damn game to ensure that either, 1, the Bears didn't see the football again, or 2, at a bare minimum, you're in Greg Joseph field goal range to make sure that they need a touchdown to beat you, because you know damn well Justin Fields ain't taking them on a touchdown drive. But he could take them on a field goal drive. Doesn't take much. Indoors, controlled climate, doesn't take much to get into field goal range when you're indoors. No wind, nothing to have to adjust to. You don't need but so many yards. And then your punter has a terrible punt, he might as well kick the bitch out of the back of the end zone because he tried to directional kick it and he kicked it out of bounds at the 22-yard line. If he'd have just kicked it out of the back of the end zone, it would have been at the 20. The Vikings fudged the entire end of the ball game. And I truly don't really even know what they were looking to accomplish. It felt like they thought the game was over after the second Fields fumble. They're all over on the sidelines, dapping each other up. The coaching staff is all happy-go-lucky. You still got a ball game to finish. And they go out, run it, and then throw a pass that almost gets picked off, and they lose 2 yards on it. Like, what are you doing? You're losing the game. That's what you're doing. You're losing the game. This is bad football 101 by both teams. But the team that probably deserved to win won the game, and that's Chicago. They don't know how to win. And you see why they lose these types of games. Had the Vikings been any good, had the Vikings been situationally aware in this game and figured out some things towards the end, the Bears would have thrown this one away too, just like they did last week against Detroit. They've done the same thing tonight. They tried to. The Vikings just weren't good enough to accept the gift that the Bears were offering. And so the Vikings are now 6-6 after winning 5 games in a row, starting out 1-4. They were 6-4 and they were riding high, playing excellent football. Now they've lost 2 straight and they're right back to where they were when they started the season off 0-3 and 1-4. They're lost. They're searching for answers. There's no Kirk Cousins now. Jefferson will probably be back after the bye, but we'll see. That might give them a spark. It may give them a boost. He's such a dynamic player. He changes everything, how you defend them, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe that gives them a boost. Maybe they're a better team with him on. I mean, what am I saying? They are, even though they record-wise, they've been worse with him on the field this year, but that's nor here nor there. They're a better team with him on the field. And maybe he gives them a boost and a shot in the arm offensively. And they look like a team that should be in the playoffs once he comes back. We'll see. Tonight, though, and even last week against Denver, even though they should have won that game, they didn't look like a playoff team the last 2 weeks. The turnovers have just been nauseating. And it's been really their bugaboo all season long. If you even go back to the beginning of the season when they started 0-3 and they couldn't get out of their own way, and they were leading the league in turnovers after the first 3-4 games of the season. Maybe that's just who they are. No matter who the players are, no matter who's touching the football, it's just who they are this year. Like last year, they could do no wrong in close games. They found ways to win. That's just who they were last year. Maybe this year, they're just going to turn it over. And that's just who they are, and you got to accept that. No. If you're the Bears, I still struggle because the biggest question you've got to finish out this season is, are you going to select a quarterback? Are you going to – if you're not selecting a quarterback at 1, you have to trade the pick like you did last year. You're in a great position because you're in the exact same position you were in last year, except this is not your pick, right? Last year, it was your pick. You earned the number 1 overall pick and decided not to take a quarterback. Don't blame you, right? This year, can you pass up on the opportunity to take Caleb Williams? If you truly evaluate him as one of those prospects up there with the likes of Burrow and Andrew Luck and maybe to a lesser degree Trevor Lawrence, if you view him in that same prism, can you afford to pass him up to take another ride on the Justin Fields experience? I don't think you can. I wouldn't. If you're Ryan Poles, Justin Fields isn't your mistake. This isn't something you have to pay for. That's the last regime's pick. This is not your guy. And if you're really, truly trying to build this thing and turn it around, you can't have a question mark at the most important position. Now, I'm not saying that Caleb Williams or Drake May or Michael Penix Jr. or whomever you may evaluate as that guy won't be coming in with question marks. But if you and to me, the only guy we're talking about here is Caleb Williams, because the rest of those dudes, I don't know what the hell they're going to be at the next level. Williams is the only one that you probably look at and say, hey, he's got a chance to come in here and immediately change the game and be one of those difference-making players at the most important position. That's the only guy that I look at and say, hey, that's the guy that I might be willing to do whatever I have to do to get him. And if your polls, Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, and that's how you feel about Caleb Williams, probably got to pull the trigger at 1. Unless Fields shows you some miraculous play at the end. And who sees that coming? Because I don't. Love his mobility. I love his toughness. Got arm talent. Yep, all of that stuff checks all of those boxes. I don't see the mental progression from Justin Fields. And look, I know the play calling isn't the best, but in the offensive line at times is shoddy. All of these things can be true all at the same time. I'm aware. But I don't see the growth from him. You know, doesn't seem like things happen in a timely manner for him. When the play is what it is, he's in the pocket, there's no pressure, and you need him to cycle through his progressions, doesn't feel like he's doing that at a rapid rate. Feels like if that first receiver gets open, he's deadly. Hell, even if the second guy gets open, he still can make something happen. But a lot of times it feels like if those first 2 guys aren't open, chances are this play is going to go haywire. He's going to go off script. And then when you got guys open like Darnell Mooney on that left sideline, and I get it, he's on the move to his left, but you got to make some of these throws, man, right? Can't be fumbling the ball at the end of the game. Not going to be playing the Vikings every week where they're going to give you a chance to win because the other team's quarterback is going to throw 4 picks. I don't know, man. There's still more time, I guess. The evaluation process clearly not over. He's still got more time. I think I already made my decision, though. And then you also have to factor in he gets hurt. That's a part of the evaluation as well. So that's what the rest of this season is all about for the Bears. They're in a great spot. I don't envy them for the decision that they have to make. But damn it, that's a great decision that you'll have to make. Because whatever it is, you got to live with it. You move on from Fields. Nobody's going to blink if you move on from Fields. Only the Fields stands are going to come out, and there are not enough of those for you to even have to worry about. But if you pass on Caleb Williams, and he does turn into Patrick Mahomes 2.0, oh my God, it'll turn into Mahomes all over again because you had a chance to take Mahomes and you took Mitchell Trubisky. If you do that again, there will be a mutiny with the Chicago Bears fan base this time because there is no excuse for it this time. Last time, you didn't actually know Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes because Watson was in that same draft. Nobody was really sweating him. Nobody was sweating Mahomes. You took Trubisky. Nobody really knew what you passed on there. Everybody knows what you passed on now. You know what you passed on. And now everybody's saying, hey, this kid is just like Mahomes. And everybody knows that. And if you decide to pass on him again, and it happens like it did last time again, now what? Which is why I think you got to pull the trigger at 1 if you're the Bears. You're going to have the number 1 overall pick. Carolina isn't going to win again. You know how I always say, when your team gets a new head coach, always pick them that next week. There's going to be a boost. Not with the Panthers. They're bad. They're not beating anybody. So you're going to get the number 1 overall pick. And the beauty is, if you want to trade a pick, somebody else is looking for a quarterback, you still might be able to wheel and deal with your own pick. If you if you choose to do so. I personally, if I'm the Bears, probably taking a quarterback with my first pick and a tackle with my second pick. I know you've been building that offensive line. Tevin Jenkins. You took Darnell Wright last year, so I know you've been spending resources on that line. Maybe you don't feel like you need to do that again. I personally, I'm taking the left tackle. But we'll see what they decide to do. You know, they got some real questions to answer at the end of this season. And again, the evaluation process is still going on. But they get the win tonight, 12-10, get to 4-8 on the season. They're rating that mix with all the other bad 4 and 7 and 8 teams in the league, especially in the NFC, where there's just a plethora of these really bad teams hanging around. I mean, my goodness. At 6-6, at 4-8, some of these 4-8 teams might actually still have a shot. Just think about it like this. Vikings lose 2 more games, a 4-8 team wins 2 more games, and you're both 6-8. And again, other teams have say-so in this. There are a lot of 5 and 6 teams that are in the mix as well. But all they got to do is lose a couple games too. And clearly, if you're 5-6 at this point of the season, or you're 4-7, or you're 4-8, you're not opposed to losing 2 or 3 games in a row, right? I mean, this shit is disgusting. Back into the NFC. There's all these good teams in the AFC. Like, I know the Bills are 6-6, but are they really imagine where the Bills would be if they were in the NFC. Okay. Like, are they really 6-6? They might miss the playoffs. Like, real shit. They might miss the playoffs. Meanwhile, you got the Vikings are 6-6 in the NFC. You see how different the 2 6-6s look? There's our 6-6, the Vikings, and then there's their 6-6, the Bills. They're not even in the same stratosphere. They're young and up-and-coming teams. The Texans, they're 6-5. Do we even have a young and up-and-coming team on this side of the bracket? Anybody that's young and up-and-coming, they're good, right? Eagles, 49ers, I guess the Lions would fit into that category. Jags up-and-coming team over there, they're 8-3, right? We don't have any young and up-and-coming teams. If we do, you're minus a quarterback, or you're minus other stuff, which keeps you from even being in that conversation. I mean, wow. Insane. I digress. I said I wanted to talk about Bills Eagles tonight. So let's do that real quick right now. What a game that was. Obviously, Eagles get the win. 34-31 in overtime over, was it 34-31 or was it 37-34? Let me get my mobile device and make sure I get that right. I want to say it was 37-34 in overtime. I think it was 31-31 heading into that final frame or heading into overtime. But let me just double check. Yep, 37-34 in overtime. So that game started off like really weird because, the weather impacted the week before Kansas City game. You could tell that the weather had a huge impact on the game. And I wasn't expecting that in this game against the Bills. And, 425 hits, the game comes on. And it's wet weather, and I'm like, oh, shit, here we go again. And it started out slow, man. Both teams really didn't get, their footing. The Eagles did get a first-quarter touchdown. But the Bills, we could tell, they just were out of sync a bit, missing opportunities, things of that nature. And the second quarter hits, and it's like a light bulb came on for the Bills. And, what was funny is when you put the first 2 quarters together in its totality, you're saying to yourself, the Bills are dominating this Eagles football team. And yet the score was only 17-7. And you say only, but that's the same score that it was the week prior. That's the same score that it was. Washington was 17-10. Washington also had them. they might have had them 17-7 the second game. I think Washington might have had them 17. No, it was probably 17-10 both games. I think the score was 17-10 both games at halftime. If not 17-13 the first one. I think both of them were 17-10 or something like that. But you already knew, just like the week prior with 17-7 against Kansas, that they could come back from that, right? So you weren't comfortable. You shouldn't have been, at least. And you felt like, damn, Buffalo, you killing these boys, but you're only up 10. And I said the same thing about the Raiders game. The Raiders were dominating the Chiefs in the first half, particularly the first quarter and a half of the second. And then the Chiefs just exploded for 14 points right before the half, just like that, and it's tied. And you're like, damn, you had a chance. Because you dominated. You had these boys on the ropes and you let them off the hook. Missed the 30-yard field goal, did the Raiders, missed opportunities. The Chiefs kept giving them great field position. They weren't doing anything with it. You're like, hey, you had your chances. And it kind of felt like that with Buffalo. Like, you had your chances, to really put the screws to the Eagles. And they kind of just left them hanging around. And you could sense that there was a stretch there in the third quarter where it felt like the Bills had their chance. And they missed some opportunities. You got a field goal blocked. You missed a field goal. And you're saying to yourself, you're just leaving the door ajar, right? There were opportunities for touchdowns. Guys not coming down with passes. Allen may not be in sync with his receivers. And you're just like, y'all living dangerous over here. Then he throws the pick. And you're like, well, let's get back for the pick that Hurts threw earlier in the game. So it kind of like balanced out and evened out. But when it got to 17-14, when Philadelphia scored that touchdown, I was like, hey, they're going to win this game. And then the Bills immediately responded and went and got the touchdown. And it extended it back out to 10. I said, well, maybe this ain't their day. Maybe the Bills aren't effing around with them. And then the Eagles came right back down the field, and they got that touchdown, and they cut it to 24-21. And that's when they got the field goal block, and they should have scored a touchdown on that drive. They had a touchdown, and they didn't take advantage. And they had to settle for the field goal. Allen rolls out to his left. He's got a wide open receiver, and I forget what happens, whether he misses him or whatever happens, but they had to settle for a field goal. They had a chance. They blew it, and then the field goal gets blocked. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? But even then, they still had a chance. They forced the Eagles into this 3rd and forever. And they let Hurts roll out to his left. He posts up on the sidelines, and he throws it up to Olamide Zaccheaus, who goes up and gets it, and you're thinking, how in the hell did you just let that happen? There are 2 of you back there. There's 1 of him, and you just don't make a play on the ball, right? It's a great throw by Hurts. Great play by Olamide Zaccheaus to go up and get it. But the Bills just dropped the football there. Like, you literally just dropped the ball on letting him catch that. And at that moment, that's when I said, they're going to win this game. Because you had to force a field goal there. They could not take the lead there, and they did 28-30, 28-24. You needed them to tie the game up. Because I knew the Bills had 1 more touchdown in them, but I'm like, it's not going to be enough because you let them score a touchdown when they shouldn't have scored a touchdown. And sure enough, the Bills went down the field. They went and got the touchdown. Great throw from Allen to Diggs, touchdown. And they take the lead 31-28. And, of course, the Eagles are going to go get in the field goal range. Now, credit the Bills for really, locking it down once they got right into that semi-field goal range. But this is where the Eagles, they separate themselves from most of the league because in all facets of the game, except for I still think that their defense is a liability. And eventually it's going to catch up with them, and it's going to stop them from winning when they need it the most. I firmly believe that their defense is not good, right? we've talked about this for much of the season. Their defense is not good. And they don't want to hear it because they're 10-1. But the fact of the matter is their defense is not good. They can take that whatever way they want. But they got the most balanced team when it comes to critical situations. I may say that their defense isn't good, but when they usually need their defense the most, they come up with the stop that they need, right? And they take turns sharing the glory, if you will, at the end of these ball games, whether it's the field goal kicker, whether it's the offense, or it's the defense. Usually with the defense, it feels like arson. Like they start the fire and then they want to be the ones to put it out. Whereas the offense, they're usually the ones bailing the defense out. And the special teams chimes in and say, hey, let me get some of this action. And that's a 59-yard field goal in the rain with a little bit of wind. And they couldn't get any closer. Credit the Bills defense for stopping them from getting any closer. And this is the ball game. And with no hesitation, Jake Elliott smokes that bitch. It would have been good from 65. Okay? And I'm thinking, I told my dad, I'm like, whomever wins the toss is going to win. Neither one of the defenses could stop each other in the fourth quarter. Like, I was watching two defenses that had no answers. It's almost like Philadelphia. I don't know what adjustments they made in the late stages of the third into fourth, but the Bills had no answers for them on defense at all anymore, right? They were gashing them. Anytime Hurts had time, he was finding guys open. And I went upstairs to get ready to leave. We were at my mom and dad's house, so I didn't see who won the toss. I just came back downstairs, and the Bills had the ball, so I said, okay, they must have won the toss. Well, I said, they're going to win the game because the Eagles can't stop them. And sure enough, they went right down the field, and Josh Allen has a wide-open Gabe Davis for the game-winning score, and Gabe Davis turns outside instead of inside. You call it luck? I think it is. It is luck for the Eagles, but it's also they're really good. Because you know what? Yep, they got lucky that Gabe Davis had a miscommunication with Josh Allen. And Allen throws him inside. He doesn't need to go outside. You're not running away. The defender's already beat. You just have to turn around and locate the ball. Doesn't matter. They kick the field goal. If you're a lesser team, you don't have to take advantage of that, missed opportunity by Buffalo and score a touchdown. You could have kicked the field goal. You could have kicked no field goal. You could score no points and lost the game. They're good enough to take advantage of your mistake, right? Chiefs not catching the deep ball last week. That's luck. But they also got the intentional grounding on the next play to make sure that they didn't get another opportunity to go back to the end zone, right? So it is luck, but it's also their ability to take advantage of your mistakes and make sure that you don't get another opportunity. And I told my dad, they just lost the game because their defense can't stop Philadelphia's offense. I said, boss, this game's over. I guarantee you they're going to score a touchdown. And he was like, nah, I don't, because he's a Cowboys fan. He doesn't want them to win. So he's hoping like hell that they don't get it done. Then he's hoping that the 49ers can beat them the next week, and then they can beat them in week 14, and all of a sudden they're in first place. That's what he was hoping. I'm like, bro, give that shit a rest. Give that shit a rest. The Eagles are going to lose 3 games this season. The question is, are you one of them? If so, you'll give yourself a chance that maybe, just maybe, they could lose a 4th, but you're going to lose another game too, somewhere in there. You're not good enough to run. The Bills will probably beat you. If you're Dallas fan, Bills will probably beat you. Because I can guarantee you the shit that Philadelphia just did, you weren't doing that if the Bills did that shit to you. And you got to go to Buffalo. You got to play Detroit. You're going to lose another game or 2. So I was looking at balls like, this don't concern you. This is championship level football right here. You don't know nothing about that. Let's just let these 2 teams play this shit out, okay? We watching a beautiful game right here. Just you sit back and relax and just watch this shit because you'll never know what this feels like. Not again, at least. Listen to me talking like I know what championship football feels. I know what it looks like. I don't know what it feels like. So I'm like, you just sit back and let this shit play out because you're not going to be a part of this when it's all said and done. You're not better than San Francisco. We already seen that. You're not better than Philadelphia. And sure enough, they went right down the field. Hurts makes a big throw to Devontae Smith on a third down over the middle of the field. And then he does it again. And then, boom, he takes off running. And, of course, now they got him on their heels. They're already in field goal range. Now they're going for the dagger. And then they run a quarterback draw, and he gets in the end zone, and he wins the game. And I just said, damn, that was a hell of a game. The Eagles got away again. And this is the thing. And Eagles fans are just I can't with them because all they hear is, oh, he's a hater, oh, he's delusional, and I don't even really like talking to them because I call them bird brains. They have bird brains, right? They just can't process rationally. They can't process what people say out of their mouth. They hear gibberish because their brains can't process people when they speak eloquently. All right. But I also had to think about it from this perspective because I keep comparing them to last year's team. Last year's team didn't win the Super Bowl. This year's team could win the Super Bowl because of what they went through last year. What if, this is something because I keep talking about, well, you're not good enough. You're not as good as you were last year, yada, yada, yada. And what if this is just their year? What if they don't run out of the magic pixie dust that they have every week? What if this keeps happening all the way until Super Bowl 58 and they win it this time? What if? It could happen. It's not impossible. But generally, this feels like the Vikings for last year. They're way better than the Vikings. Let's just get that straight. But this feels like the Vikings. How many one-score games did the Vikings win a season ago? How many close games did the Vikings win? 11 of them. And then what happened when they got to the playoffs? They ran out of that magic pixie dust. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen to them because they're way better than the Vikings were last season. But what they've shown the propensity to do, and this is why I think if they don't tighten up defensively, and I don't know if there's really an elixir for this shit. Their defense is what it is. If they don't tighten up defensively, somebody's going to get them, and they're not going to be able to make that play, or that other team isn't going to miss that play like the Chiefs missed last week, or miss the play like the Bills had with the miscommunication. Somebody's not going to miss that play, and you're going to lose. And it's going to happen at the worst time. The regular season is cool. I'm talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about when you got to play Dallas again, or when you got to play San Francisco again, or even Detroit. And they don't make that mistake, or they don't miss that block, or they don't drop that football, or they don't have that miscommunication. We'll see. Or Jake Elliott doesn't deliver from 59 yards out. But they keep finding ways to win, and that's what championship teams do. And yesterday it dawned on me, like, you keep talking about what they can't do, but here's what they are doing. They're finding ways to win. And it is lucky. But you know what? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But guess what? They're not only lucky, they're good. And you know what the great teams have? Both. Both. Because you're not going to beat every team up by 3 scores. Other teams are good too. The Bills are good. I know they're 6-6. They're good. Josh Allen is ridiculous. You know what kind of game he had yesterday? Half of what the Eagles gave up defensively only happened because it was Josh freaking Allen. How many 3rd down and 7 did he just say, F it, tuck the bitch and run, and they couldn't do nothing about it because he was too goddamn big. And people want to come after Josh Allen like he's some kind of basic-ass quarterback. Go sit your ass down in the corner somewhere with that bullshit. This is why I can't with people when they like, well, Josh Allen is a turnover machine and he's not even that good. Okay, all right. Well, you go find me another one of those then. He's a damn unicorn at the quarterback position. Yeah, he's going to make some mistakes. Take the good with the bad. But damn it, and I've been saying it, and I said this when the Bills got rid of their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, right? I said this. And look, the offense, I'm not going to lie, it's looked better. It's looked a lot better. since Dorsey is vacated. They've scored 30 or more points in each of the last 2 games since he was gone. They hadn't scored 30 or more points since week 4. So yes, the offense has looked better. But I said this then when they fired Dorsey, and I'm saying it again. The defense is the problem. Because every time you've needed a stop this season, your defense has let you down. And they did it again on Sunday. Your offense could have won you that game. But you know what? 31 points on the road against Philadelphia should be enough. Should be enough. But it wasn't. Because your defense, once again, let you down at the end of regulation. 34 points on the road at Philadelphia in overtime should be enough. At worst, for a tie. And it wasn't, because your defense couldn't get the stop you needed. It's the same issue you've been having for years, going all the way back to 13 seconds. You still can't get pressure on the quarterback. And then you put pressure on your back end to have to cover, and they can only do it for so long. And then somebody comes open. Because honestly, for the first 2.5 quarters, shit, we almost got to the 4th quarter. I'm saying the Bills are playing a masterpiece of a defensive game against the Eagles right now. And then it just fell the hell apart in the 4th quarter. You couldn't cover you couldn't cover anybody if I gave you a blanket. I mean, it was rough. You couldn't cover a fetus in that 4th quarter overtime. And it's been like that going all the way back to the Patriots game. You know, I mean, we go back even further than that. You know, you've lost games this season because you couldn't get defensive stops. Happened in the first Jets game. You know, you needed to stop at the end of regulation. You couldn't get it. That's how the game got to overtime. Right? Crazy catch by, Wilson. But you let him get into that position. You had no business even getting to that point where a punt return beats you in overtime. You had no business getting to that point. Defense let you down. Yep, bunch of turnovers by the offense. I'm aware. Shouldn't have happened in the first place. I get it. All right, it's Zach Wilson. Just stop them. You couldn't. Mac Jones gets benched every week. Somehow he managed to go down the field at the end of the game against you and throw the game-winning touchdown. You let Tyrod Taylor walk it down to the 1-yard line. And if they had the balls to just hand it off to Saquon Barkley, you probably lose to the Giants. You let the Buccaneers get to a situation where they threw a Hail Mary and the ball hit the ground in the end zone. What are we talking about here? This is who you've been all season long, and you did it again. So, in any event, the Bills are finding ways to not get it done, and the Eagles are finding ways to get it done. And I know there's a lot of haters. I am included. I will not lie. I want them to lose so bad, but I can acknowledge when a team is damn good. And I can tell you, if this was my team, I'd be concerned about the defense. I would, but I wouldn't be trying to hit that shit. Hey, we 10-1. Get out of my face. And that's how they've been handling it. And I don't blame them for that. All I would be acknowledging, I'd be like, you're right about the defense. We still 10-1 and we find ways to win, and that's what good teams do. But yeah, I am concerned about the defense. That's how I would go about it. Right? Like, if you're talking anything else, get out of my face. But the defense definitely is an issue. And all I'm saying is that could eventually catch up with you. And Hurts isn't going to be right the rest of the season either, right? He's doing just enough athletically, but you can tell he's a step slow, you know? So I think that 49ers defense, I think they're going to be on his ass. I do. Like, If they got to do a better job, and you know, I don't know what it is with the Eagles and the lack of run game for the first half of these games. Like they're not even trying to run the ball. Like Buffalo's rush defense isn't that good. Then when they started to try to run, they had success. I don't know. Like they did that against Kansas City last week. Like he was killing the Chiefs when he touched the football. Was DeAndre? He was killing them. It felt like they waited too late to get him involved in the game. They did it again this week. DeAndre Swift is a huge part of their offense. I don't understand why he's not touching it more. But again, that's on them. That's not me, right? At the end of the day, they're good, man. That is a well-built roster. They have this clutch gene about them. They find ways to get it done. I worry about the defense. There isn't another entity that concerns me about the Eagles. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not worried about the offense. I'm not, even though Brian Johnson, you know, these quarterback draws seem like he falls in love with them sometimes. But he's starting to get into a little bit of a bag. He's getting better. Special teams are not concerned there, right? With my kicker, Jake Elliott, and, you know, they're blocking field goals and shit. I got no issues there. Britton Covey hasn't been terrible like he was last year. Like, he's actually been good at times. I got no complaints with the special teams. The one concern I have is the defense. The one concern I have is the defense. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and get out of here. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Louie, you got the nail on the head in your last video. I'm so glad you pointed out how JDR has been subpar and given the context as to why in his tenure. Look, Jack has a number of faults, and I've pointed those out over the years. Things that I've seen and watching this team as closely as I do. And, you know, at the end of the day, I can't definitively say I saw this season coming. Oh, I'm not Nostradamus. I was worried more so than any other facet of our team. I was worried about the defense. You guys know that. I wasn't as worried about the offensive line. I probably should have been, but I wasn't as concerned as a lot of you were. Wasn't worried about Sam. Wasn't worried about EB. You know, wasn't worried about Joey Sly or special teams. I was probably concerned about Cam Cheeseman and the snaps. That turned out to be not as big of a deal. But I was concerned, and I told you before the season started, I'm concerned about this defense. You ask me, and you can go back and watch all the videos leading up to the season, and you'll hear me repeating it over like a broken record, like a record that skips. I'm concerned about this defense because the defense really wasn't that good. We got this false label a season ago that the defense was actually good because we played poor teams on offense, and we played teams that missed opportunities. And I can go through the list of games where opportunities were missed, that we got away and we looked good as a defense. But if you watch the game and you know that wasn't anything that we did, it was everything that they didn't do, right? So I was concerned about the defense, and it rang true, right? Everything that I was worried about came to fruition. But this problem, we kept trying to treat the symptoms, but the problem was really, it was at the core, at its roots, at its base, it was Jack. The play calling. It was what we were doing. Even down to, like, I've been complaining about the defensive tackles, and Ronald claims he's going to try to get them more one-on-ones. You should have been doing that from the jump. Like, you coming and trying to take over the play calling now says what? What are you aiming to do? If you really thought you taking over the play calling was going to change something, you would have done it because your job has been on the line this entire year, and you know it, bub. So you would have, if you thought you calling the defense was going to make a difference, you would have done this already. You know? I find it amusing at this point that we're supposed to expect some sort of change. And I'm glad it's coming against the Dolphins, by the way. That makes it even better because the Dolphins are going to run Ronald's ass right off the goddamn field on Sunday. And any hopes of this shit looking any different is going to go with the Dolphins back to Miami. 42-13 or some shit like that. Mike Jink, been a member for 13 months. I got Mike Jink writes, big dub yesterday, huge dub yesterday. That was a massive test. Even more so than Kansas City, I felt. And I know this one was at home, but Josh Allen is playing better. That sounds crazy, I know, but Allen, to me, is playing better than Mahomes right now. Like, Mahomes is being carried by his defense. The Bills have better weapons than the Chiefs do. That was a different type of test. I think Josh Allen and the Bills, they're more along the lines of what you're going to see in the NFC. Like, you're going to have to deal with some teams that can score, and you're going to have to play, enough defense, and you're going to have to hold them down offensively and score enough points. The Chiefs, just hang in there. Their offense isn't all that great right now. Their defense is really good. I think you're going to see more teams like Buffalo, where you're going to have to figure them out. As the game goes along, you're going to have to figure them out. Because it took you a while. It took you about 2.5 quarters, but you finally figured them out. And once you did, they had no answers. And you're probably going to have to do that against San Francisco this week. You have to feel them out for the first quarter and a half, because you really didn't get a feel for what the 49ers were last year, because Brock Purdy got hurt so early in that game. So you're going to have to feel them out, see what they're doing, diagnose it, and then you're going to have to start trying to pick them apart. And all the while, you got to hope your defense isn't getting gutted while it's happening, because your defense is trash. Oh, by the way, me and Tiff literally picked every game the same, so regardless, I'll still be one game back. Bum. You know what? You're just buying time, bro. It ain't about trying to take over the lead, this week. Just stay close within striking. Like, what you don't want is for her to get 2 up on you, this week, and now she's 3 games up total, and now you fighting to try to get, just stay close. And she'll slip up eventually. You got to be ready to take advantage, right? All right. When that knock at the door happens, you better be ready to open up and go on through. That's all I'm saying. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Juan writes, 5-8 on Sunday, so you're telling me there's a chance. I'm not telling you a damn thing. 5-8. I don't know where you get. Who's 5-8? Not us. You got the wrong team, brother. You got the wrong team, my man. Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Black Al B, my guy, writes, Lou, the Vikes can never get it right. It's tough. The circumstances that y'all have been faced with this year, it's tough. The fact that we're even having a conversation about you being the 7th and final NFC team is amazing, given what you've gone through this season. Starting 0-3 with all the turnovers, winning 5 straight after starting 1-4, losing Justin Jefferson in that Chiefs game in week 5, to drop you to 1-4, to then win 5 straight, including losing Kirk Cousins in that win over Green Bay on the road, but finding a way to then win, 3 more games after that in a row. Are you kidding me? Or was it 2 more games? I think it was 2 more games in a row after that. Are you kidding me? To get to 6-4? Yeah, you lost the last 2, and this one was pretty bad. This one was really bad. But you shouldn't even be here, bro. You shouldn't even – the job that KOC has done, you shouldn't even be here right now. He says, KOC needs to grow up here and act like he knows how to come up with a competent game plan. Vikes need to lose out to get a good draft pick and draft either the LSU quarterback or Michael Penix Jr. Well, you're not going to lose out. Your schedule is pretty soft. And you want to make the playoffs. That's not what you're aiming to do. And if this draft is as deep at the quarterback position as so many people say, that LSU quarterback will be there. You think that every one of these quarterbacks is going in the top 10? No, I assure you, they're not. Every year we think 15 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. They're not. So right now, you've got, whether people want to admit it or not, you've got Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, the LSU kid, Jalen, I don't know why I can't think of his name. And I don't really know if the Michigan kid is in this discussion. He may go back to school. If I were him, I'd go back to school. I don't know if he's ready to come out yet. You got 5 quarterbacks. I can assure you, of those 5, 3 of them may go in the top 10. Maybe, right? 3 may go in the top 10. And then the other 2 will just kind of float around. Somebody will get them either in the first or the second round. I look at Bo Nix, and, Bo's been impressive. I think he's college impressive, but Bo's been impressive. But he's gaining confidence. But I still think it's college confidence. He strikes me as the Will Levis of this group. The guy that you look at and you say, hey, that's cool, and they'll build him up as a first round, but he ultimately go in the second round. That's how I see Bo Nix, but we'll see. The Jaden Daniels out of, thank you, Abel Ambrosio and Casper the Barbarian. Jaden Daniels out of LSU, if he stays healthy, he'll be the Hendon Hooker of this draft class. Remember, if Hendon Hooker doesn't get hurt, he would have been in that first round conversation, probably would have went in the second round. Right? Instead of going, what, did he go third round to the Lions? He might even go in first round if he doesn't get hurt. I look at Jaden Daniels in that similar light. He stays healthy. He's going to be a wild card in this draft. You'll be able to get one of these dudes is what I'm trying to tell you. If you want them, you'll be able to get one of these dudes. You don't have to lose out to do it. And you're not going to. I'd ease up on KOC. With all the shit he's had to deal with this year, I'd ease up on him a bit. He's been spectacular for you. I didn't like how he handled the end of this game. He can't account for the shit that Joshua Dobbs was doing in the game, man. Some of these picks, you go, Dobbs, what the, bro? The 4th down to start the third quarter, the second half. A half decent throw where your tight end doesn't have to jump backwards and reach behind him. Just anything either at him or out in front of him where he can catch and turn up the field. It's an easy first down. It's just a bad throw by Dobbs, right? Like, that's not KOC's fault. It's Dobbs' fault. You got a double move that works perfectly. You got a wide open receiver for a walk-in touchdown, and Dobbs throws the shit a half yard out of bounds. Now, I still think your receiver could have did a better job, the rookie, of getting his feet down and reaching. It wasn't that far out of bounds when he couldn't got his feet down in bounds, reached out of bounds, and caught the bitch still. But that should have been a walk-in touchdown. Where the hell is Dobbs? He wasn't under duress. Where the hell is he throwing the football? What do you want KOC to do? Walk out there and throw the football too? Hand it to him? Partner? Like, I think you got to ease up on KOC. He did what he was supposed to do in this game. The only thing I would lay at his feet in terms of blame is at the end of the game, not doing a better job of being aggressive in that situation, trying to win the game on offense, or at least getting in the field goal range, forcing the Bears to need a touchdown. That's it. The 2 runs, those were chump calls. You deserved to lose the game because you knew you were. The Bears came in as the best run defense, and they're loading up to stop the run because they expect you to run. You needed to go bootleg, play action fake, something like that. Get an easy, simple completion, and see if you can get 6-7 yards on first down. Really jumpstart that bitch instead of just, hey, let's just run it, lose 1, run it again, get none, and then almost get it picked off and lose 2 on the pass and have to punt. Like, that was trash. You were asking for a loss, and you got what you deserved. Juan Gotti Talking Sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Just kidding. I know better. Josh is back to Joshua. Of course. Josh is back to Joshua. It was cool when he was Josh, though, wasn't it? Just for a little while, he was Josh. But they were joshing. He's really Joshua. I never stopped calling him Joshua, man. I tried. His mama named him Joshua. I'm going to call him Joshua. I was like, Josh is a little too cool. Like, it almost feels like we on a you dope basis. And He's not. He's an aerospace engineer. He's Joshua. Let's call it what it is. Brendan McCloskey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, so David Tepper basically is Dan Snyder 2.0. Yeah, it's not as simple as that. Obviously, I always like to make sure that I want to cap that conversation by making sure that we understand David Tepper is not a bad human being. So when you say he's Dan Snyder 2.0, you need to make sure that you separate the personal from the business. As a businessman running an NFL franchise, yes. As a personal, like as an individual, as a human being, no, he's not. At least we don't know of that side of him. He's not. He just wants to win. But he's going about it all the wrong way, if you ask me. So from that standpoint, as an NFL owner, yes, he's Dan Snyder 2.0. As a human being, no, he's not Dan Snyder. And you have to make sure that you separate that and say that, because I don't like throwing that out there loosely, because what it means to be Dan Snyder 2.0, that means you're a deplorable human being as well. So you just got to make sure he's Daniel Snyder-esque in his ownership style. You need to say it that way, right? Yeah, he's trending in that direction, though. Absolutely. Video channel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, video channel writes, a lot of bad NFC teams. Crazy, some below average squad will get the 7 seed. What do you think a team could get for Fields as far as trading picks? That's the thing, is I don't know what kind of value he holds. If the Bears give up on him, he's not done in the league, and he'll get another opportunity somewhere. But who's trading anything to figure out what he can do? Like, look around the league. Who's going to honestly say, all right, I'll give you a second-round pick for Justin Fields, or I'll give you a third-rounder? Who's going to do that? And take a look around the league. Maybe the Falcons? Maybe? Right? The Falcons don't find, and the Falcons are going to win that division, so they're not going to be in a position to draft one of these quarterbacks, early at least. Again, Jaden Daniels may still be around, right? Bo Nix will still be, they'll have a pick of one of these, other guys that doesn't go in the first, 12 to 15 picks. But say they feel like they're further along and they don't want to wait for a young quarterback. I can see the Falcons saying, hey, we'll give you a third-round pick for Justin Fields. If you're the Bears, you just take it, right? The hell are we waiting on? If we're moving on from him, we like what we have. We think the kid that we took out of the Division II school is a competent backup quarterback. We're going to continue to develop with him as a backup. You don't need Justin Fields there anymore. It turns into a Trey Lance, Brock Purdy situation. You got to move on from one of these dudes. You can't keep both of them on the roster, especially when you already got, Jimmy Garoppolo, or they had Jimmy, right? You don't need all three of those dudes there. So you move Jimmy, and then the next thing was, hey, let's get Trey the hell out of here. This is uncomfortable. We already got a backup quarterback in Sam Darnold. Let's get Trey the hell up out of here. That's where you would be if you selected Caleb Williams. And then I think you could probably move him for a third-round pick. That's my guess. If I'm the Bears, that's my asking price. I'm going to try to get a 2, but that's pushing it. But I want a day 2 pick. And so I'll try to get that third-rounder up off somebody. And maybe it's the Atlanta Falcons. Like that sounds like a great fit to me. They need a quarterback. They got some weapons. Him and Bijan in the same backfield could be deadly. You sprinkle in what, Drake London and Kyle Pitts could be with the mobile quarterback when shit breaks down. That could turn into something fun in Atlanta. I'd love to see him go somewhere like that. I always thought they should have drafted him instead of Kyle Pitts anyway, but that's nor here nor there. Colton Wheeler, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I'd love us to look up Jim Harbaugh this offseason. Yeah, I'm good on Jim. Jim rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And look, I'll tell you this: you bring in Jim Harbaugh, he's going to bring winning to your program, but it's going to be short-lived, and you're going to flame out, and it's not going to be fun, right? And I've said this already. Jim, how many Super Bowls, how many national championships has Jim Harbaugh won? I'll wait. Yeah, he's going to win you some regular season games. He's going to put you in that position. Guys are going to be miserable, and I told my buddy, and some of y'all are too young to understand what this actually means. For the older group, you may understand this, and this might go over your head if you weren't a basketball fan. Jim Harbaugh is the Larry Brown of football. One of the best basketball coaches I've ever seen. Best teachers, guy that can, get the most out of a product. And in basketball in general, was Larry Brown. It didn't matter where Larry Brown went. Pacers, 76ers. He was in college with Kansas. It didn't matter where Larry Brown went. He won big. I still don't know how the hell that Allen Iverson team of the early 2000s made it to the NBA Finals. Go look at that roster, and you come back and tell me how in the hell they made it to the finals. With Todd McCullough and Eric Snow, Aaron McKee. I mean, look at that. That roster was garbage can juice. Larry Brown coaches his ass off. And they had AI. That helps too. But he never stays anywhere more than 4 or 5 years because he rubs people the wrong way and he's abrasive. His methods get the job done, but it can't work on a long-term basis. And Larry would always get there but never really win it. That's how I feel about Jim Harbaugh. But anyway, I'm good. I'll just tell you that. I'm good on him. Let him go somewhere else. I don't want any parts of him. LT, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. LT writes, Hurts clearly a top 2 to 4 QB in the league now. I don't know how you could say he isn't at this point. I mean, I still think it's in no particular order. It's still Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. I'm throwing Lamar in there too. I think a lot of people like to dismiss Lamar, kind of, he gets injured, you forget about him. He's healthy now. Lamar's in that conversation. And Hurts is in there. I think that's your top 5, right? Herbert's not in that conversation. Herbert started out the season in that conversation. He's not in that conversation. He's not in that conversation right now. He's a top 10 quarterback, is Justin Herbert. He's not in the top 5 anymore for me. So, yeah, I definitely would put him somewhere in that 2 to 4 range. He's not 2. I'm not putting him over Herbert. I'm not putting him. Now, again, Burrow got to stay healthy. But when he's healthy, he's been to 2 Super Bowls in a row. He's been to 2 AFC Championship games in a row. And he went to a Super Bowl. Now, if Hurts does that again this year, then I think he's right in that same conversation with Burrow, right? But he's got to do that again. Because what Burrow has essentially showed us is when I'm healthy, I'm taking my team all the way to the championship game off the rip. So right now, I still think it's Mahomes and Burrow. But I think after those 2, I think Hurts has to be firmly planted at 3 for me. And then I think it's, man, I still struggle with Allen. I still could put him at 3 easily, but winning matters in this league. Finding ways to win. And I get it, he didn't play defense, but I'd put Allen at 4, and then I'd probably put Jackson at 5. So I think I'd go about it. So, yeah, 2 to 4, absolutely. Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Lou, I hear you, but I've been watching these dudes all season. KOC play calling been spotty at times. You're probably not wrong. You're watching the team closer than I am. Every fan, I have yet to meet a fan that doesn't have issues with their team's play calling. I've yet to meet even Chiefs fans have to have issues with some of the shit Andy Reid does, right? Like, impossible. not to. Because we all think we know what the hell is best for the team as armchair quarterbacks sitting at home, right? We all know what the best play call would be. You know what you have in Dobbs, RPO the hell out of him. I thought that his biggest issue in this game, because like I said, KOC dialed up some gems, you know. TJ Hawkinson's open on that 4th down, and he throws it behind him, and he can't get to the 1st down. He dials up the double move for the USC rookie and Addison. And Addy runs it, and he's open for a walk-in touchdown. And Dobbs is just being Dobbs. That bitch is, you know, a half yard out of bounds. Could Addy have done a better job of adjusting to it and trying to keep it in bounds? Absolutely. He was, like Aikman said, I think he was lost. I don't think he realized where the hell he was until it was too late. But that ball can't be out of bounds. Are you kidding me? What are we doing? I thought his biggest issue in this game was that at the end, after the second fumble, he wasn't more aggressive. And I bet you if he had to do it over again, obviously knowing what he knows now, of course he'd be aggressive. But I just think when he goes back and watches the ending of this game, he's going to say, I should have done more. I should have ended this game either with a kick by our guy and go up 4 and put pressure on them to need a touchdown, or I should have been aggressive and tried to end the game on offense with a 1st down. And obviously he didn't do that. So anyway, I digress. We've pretty much hit our 2 hour and 20-minute mark. So we'll go ahead and get out of here. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Again, NFC East Super Friends will unite tomorrow or today on the East Coast at 8 p. Commanders Nightly News. You get that upload from me. And if you are over on MusicHead University, you will get a new upload from me tomorrow. All right. So we'll be back in the game over there. If you haven't already subscribed to MusicHead University, by all means, please. We're going to have a lot of fun over there. We're about to turn it up over on that channel because I promised you guys my Christmas playlist that I was going to expose you to that last year. So this year, I'm going to expose you to my Christmas playlist. We're going to start going live on that channel a little bit, you know, as we try to get the subs up, try to get monetized over there, right? I'm making a push to try to get that done. I got a long ways to go, but it's not going to happen being inactive. I know that much. So I'm going to do what I need to do to get this thing going in the right direction and start having some fun over on that channel because I got 2 passions. One's football, the other's music. So I'm ready to get back to my other passion. So we'll start to dial it up over there. So if you haven't already subbed up over there, MusicHead University, please, by all means, check it out. But in any event, Reedy Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, we together on Romo, loving up the cowgirl. Like, that shit was nauseous. It was nauseating. Like, so many fans get upset when Daryl Johnston or Troy Aikman used to do a game, and I'm like, I never got that vibe from them. I never felt like they were overly biased towards the Cowboys, even when we were playing them. Romo didn't even try to hide it on Sunday. Yeah, we suck. I get it. But damn, even when we did some good shit, Dallas I'm telling you, Jim, Dallas is a Super Bowl contending team. This is why the Cowboys, this is why the Cowboys can win the Super Bowl, Jim. Okay, we just had a 20-yard completion, but this is why Dallas can win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, look, hey, even after he delivered this ball, he got hit. This is why Dallas can win the Super Bowl, Jim. Like, okay, get his ass out of here. If I hear this shit one more time, I might have to catch a flight to Texas. Give Tony a nice little elbow in his damn jaw. Shit was disgusting. Reedy Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Is he still on payroll? I don't think he's still on payroll, but there's a loyalty that never leaves you, right? Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, all those guys are still, Daryl Johnson, they're still super loyal to Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys organization. Obviously, that organization, that owner made them who they are in their respective sports. Now, yeah, obviously they went out and they played and they won big, but without the Cowboys, without the star, without that opportunity, the other opportunities that have come, Michael Irvin being on TV for the last 2 decades, Troy Aikman being on the TV for the last 2 decades, Tony Romo being on TV for the last decade, none of those opportunities come to these guys. Daryl Johnson being on TV for the last 2 decades. That doesn't happen without the star. So there is an allegiance and a loyalty there. But yeah, that shit was gross. What he did on Thanksgiving, that, the game itself didn't turn my stomach, but that almost did. That shit almost did. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be back on Wednesday for the Louie T Network podcast. Thursday night, NFC East Super Friends. And of course, Wednesday night, we'll be back on CNN Live as well. So Cowboys play on Thursday night against the Seattle Seahawks. So there's that. So again, they're at home and they're better than Seattle, right? But we'll talk more about that on Wednesday on the podcast. We don't have to do that here. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, and Lou, lay off of Nick at night a little. It's hard being a Vikes fan. Nah, I see. This is Nick. First of all, Nick is my guy, so I don't like to kill him, but this is why I got to get him, because you here, right? You here? Had the Vikings won this game 40-13, he would have been here tonight. He would have been here tonight, and that's my issue with Nick. Is Nick's only when the shit's going well and the Vikings are up. Oh, Nick's in the comment section. He's hyped. He's talking about how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that. The minute that they're down, dude is AWOL, right? Can't find them, haven't seen them. And look, I always tell people, man, just keep it consistent. And I guess he is keeping it consistent in his own way, right? When they win, I'm here. When they lose, I'm not. And that's consistency. I like it to be a little bit more balanced. And look, some people just can't handle a loss and be around others. They need to handle the loss on their own. And I get that too. But then you can't put extra sauce on it when you win. You know what I'm saying? When shit's going well. Because he put extra sauce on the shit when they up. You know what I'm saying? But he's still my guy, though. He's still my guy. But I can't stand a damn front runner. Those people get under my skin. Because it does a little something to me in particular, because I don't have a choice. And first of all, my team has been asked for the better part of 2.5 decades. So win, lose, or draw, I show up. I post no matter what. So I don't have a lot of patience. I don't have a lot of empathy for those who want to be front runners. And just, if you're gonna post. Right? Win, lose, draw, just post. If that's what you're going to do. That's why I can respect those who post when their team is up or down. My guy Juan, the Cowboys, he posts all the time. Mike Jink, look, win or lose, he's going to be here. And we're going to chop it up. But it's some dudes that they lose, I know I ain't going to see them. I know I ain't gonna see him. And Nick's one of those dudes. So I want to ease up on him. And I've been pretty mild. But I do call him out from time to time. I knew he wasn't gonna show up tonight. I did know that. I did know that. But anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bears get the victory over the Minnesota Vikings, 12-10. This was very reminiscent of the Broncos and Colts game from last year. Russell Wilson versus Matt Ryan. Boy, that set back the forward pass by about 2 decades, that game did last year. This one, not so much. This one just set your fandom back about a decade. This one just set your fandom back about a decade. But anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. I'll see you guys next time. God bless. Good night.